Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Link Colby, Editorial Director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is Jace Killan, thriller writer and avid outdoorsman. Jace has 5 children and a little dog and lives with his wife of 23 years. He enjoys anything outdoors, but mostly fishing. He dabbles in writing music and photography as well. If he is not your favorite author now, he will be after. Yay! Welcome, Jace. Welcome. How are you feeling this evening?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you are very welcome. Thanks for agreeing to be here. I don't know how you squeezed it in with all of your many, many jobs that you have. It's incredible.
Yeah. I actually had a little bit of panic about a half hour ago. I said, oh, shoot, that was 5 o'clock. I was thinking it was Colorado time or whatever time. And anyway, it worked out. I thought I dogged you. But.
Nope. I would have traced down Steve and had him get a hold of you. I mean, I would have made this work. I'm pretty persistent, let me tell you. But no, please, you would never. You even agreed to the meeting. No. I mean, it's hard to get people to do that. You did well. Though I will tell you, I panicked for a minute because I thought it said mountain time and it was 2 hours behind. And I was like, what? How is it 2 hours behind Central? I'm so confused. But then there was that little thing, there was Arizona. I was like, oh, I see now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time
We're
zones.
The only state in the nation that doesn't do your guys' weirdness with daylight savings.
I would say you're the only sensible state, but we know none of the states are sensible, so that's not going to apply here. Let's see. Yes, Florida Kevin says that there is rumor that you are already someone's favorite author.
Oh,
yeah.
Probably.
Do you remember that? Yeah, the comments. I mean, Steve Ruskin said you were already his favorite author.
Oh, wow.
I know. You have big fans out there.
Yeah.
Well, we shall start with our first question. Where do you get your ideas?
Everywhere. Gosh. When I first started writing, I asked people that all the time too, because I thought all I need is a good idea. And I would ask authors, big authors, and they would say the same thing. Oh, no, I get ideas everywhere. I get them all the time, and standing in line in the grocery store, or just. And what I'll do is I'll come across just for as an example. I was the other day. So one of my jobs, I work at an antique store, and I run the place. So I'm in an office in the back of the antique mall, and I walked outside my office, outside. And there's a gentleman sitting there, and I'd seen him around before. His name's Donovan. He's homeless, and started talking to Donovan, and he was telling me about in 1980 something, he went from Persia to Singapore to Vietnam and made a trek, and he anyway told me this thing that he had done, and then about 20 seconds later repeated the same sentence again, and 20 seconds later repeated the same sentence again, and I thought, a very interesting guy. And obviously anyway, got him some food, talked to him a bit, and now we're good friends. He didn't recognize me the next time we saw him, but somewhere I'd love to put Donovan in a book. I'd love to use him as a character. But I come across, I don't know, every day ideas.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that would be interesting characters, right? Sometimes we have to pull outside of our own friend group, right? So that's just incredible. We must go out and meet people, even though we'd rather stay at our desk and never leave sometimes. Well, you write for both adults and middle grade readers. What attracts you to each group?
It's what I like to read. And that sounds weird. I really enjoy reading middle grade stuff, and I really, really like spy thrillers. I guess when I was in middle grade, I grew up on Tom Clancy, and I love the spy thriller stuff. I don't really write that genre. I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough, but in my background, a lot of my background's in finance, and so that seems to find its way into the thrillers that I write. I also have a bachelor's degree in psychology, so I've got psychological and financial aspects to my thrillers.
All kinds of stuff to draw from. Well, speaking of your thrillers, in The Unknown Soldier, Joaquin, your protagonist, is a recovering drug addict with serious guilt on his shoulders. The addict details feel so real. How did you research that?
Well, so again, you find ideas everywhere. About 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, I met a guy who became one of my closest friends, and he was a recovering meth addict. And so I went with him we went to meetings. He had just gotten out of prison, did a 7-year stint for stealing he would steal motorcycles. That was his thing. And then he'd sell them for drugs, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it just this was back in the early 2000s, and then it got to where they had GPSs in them, and they were a little, little harder to steal, and he got picked up. And he's back. He's serving another stint of 12 years now. He relapsed, and it just kind of went bad for him. But a really good, really good guy, really close friend. And I really, part of it, I guess I was dealing with, with my buddy who was hurting, who was picked back up and sent back to prison. And as that was going on, I thought, there's got to be. I know addictions are really hard to deal with, but at some point, I hoped, I needed to have the hope that somebody could overcome addiction, and I know people that have, and that was kind of my thought for him, for my friend, that I wanted to hope that he could or can someday. He's living sober now, but it's state mandated. But anyway, Joaquin is a character that's very close to me. He kind of he's made up of several people that I know.
Well, that's beautiful. That might be why he feels so real. I mean, just right away, he felt so real. So that makes sense to me. So well done. So, and also in the same book, you use a lot of realistic Spanish language and like Mexican culture. Where did you learn that?
So I grew up in Arizona, so I've been around it my whole life. And I grew up, reading Tom Clancy and John Grisham. John Grisham's always writing about the Southeast, or the, Georgia and Virginia and things like that, and things that he knows. Yeah.
Right.
And I thought, there's not a lot. I don't read a lot of books about Arizona and the Southwest. If you do Southwest, sometimes it's New Mexico or California, but there's not a lot in Arizona, and I know Arizona, so I've tended to write it into my books.
That's awesome.
It's been the setting for it, but I also I lived in South America for a while, and my wife is from Argentina. So I've got a lot of bilingual influence in that, but I also I mean many of my closest friends are Mexican. They're from, and a couple of them are from the Sinaloa area, and they're not cartels, but anyway, they so it yeah, they say write what you know, so I just,
and you had a lot of people to reference, so that's great. Yeah, I love it. So speaking of series, well, it's a compelling first novel, by the way. Really well done. Like a first novel in the series. Really, really well done. Are there any more scheduled for release?
So that's a struggle. I did, when I wrote it, I've got 4 or 5 that are designed, that are plotted out. But as I want to get published. I self-published the first one, and I started right when I started shopping it around. I was told by a couple agents that looked at it, a couple editors that said, "Hey, well, you've got Islamic terrorists in it, and that's been done. It's overdone. We're not interested." And so I went the self-published route. But what I understand now is if I write any of these others, I'm gonna self-publish them also, because a publisher won't look at it. And so I kind of want to. So I put it aside, and I've started working on. I've got other projects that completed and in the works that are being considered by publishers. So that that's my goal is I want to get famous through a traditional publisher, and then go back to visiting Joaquin and his adventures.
Well, just for the record, your biggest fan in the chat says there better be more in that series.
Right.
And
Good.
I'm with him, man.
Okay.
I mean, it's really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? What are you doing? You only work 5 jobs. You could totally just write another book right now. Let's get to it.
Yeah. I do have the second in the series is it's been half done for about 5 years, but I put it off and completed some other stuff. But
well, you talked about like your love of reading. Do you prefer reading series or standalones?
both. Both and whatever. And there are standalones that wanted to be a series, but then, and I'm going blank on what's a good one, but but anyway, I do like reading both. There are series that I absolutely love. Jack Ryan's my hero.
I mean, how can you resist? I understand that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Both. I like that. I tend to get into series, but I never read one book at a time. And I don't want to read like 4 series at the same time. So it's kind of nice to have the standalones to like fill in individually until you read one. And then you're like, this should be a series. Where are the rest of them?
Right.
That happens too. Right. Exactly. What authors have inspired you along the way?
Oh gosh. Well, so John Grisham and Tom Clancy, Brandon Sanderson, of course. Steve Ruskin is a great author, writes some amazing stuff. There's a lot. DJ Butler, just finished a series from him. I've read a lot of his stuff. I'm reading Brandon Sanderson's the Alcatraz series right now for middle grade.
Oh, I haven't read that one yet. It's on my list.
It's awesome. It just and he's just a genius at how he pulls them out. It just really awesome. But I read a lot. Not really read. I audiobook a lot. I don't necessarily have a lot of time, but but when I find it, usually on the road or whatever, and I can listen. So that's usually how you get my reading done.
Yep, makes sense to me. Yeah, the crowd agrees with you. They like DJ Butler too.
Yeah. He's a good guy and a fantastic author. Martin Shoemaker. I just finished The Last Dance of his. Read Today I Am Carrie. Phenomenal book. As far as sci-fi goes, I think he's going to be huge. I think he's up and coming, but the Last Dance was a great book. I had to stop. I wanted to roll right into. He's got a sequel called The Last. What is it? You guys probably know. But I was going to roll right into it, but I'm writing a middle grade right now. And so what I find is that whatever I'm listening to, whatever I'm reading, I tend to want to write in that genre, and it inspires me to write in that genre. And so if I want to write, I need to focus on my middle grade. It's coming along. I'm giving it attention. And so by reading other middle grade stuff, it helps me focus.
I agree. At first, someone told me that they never read in their genre because they're afraid it's going to influence them. So that's how I started. But I found that stifling. For me, it's actually inspiring if I'm reading in my genre what I'm writing. So I'm glad I'm not the only one. Thank you. Yeah. I like it. And yes, Steve, I'm getting to it. They're reminding me because Spikette asked about cursed collectibles. It's my very next question. I'm good at this, Speaking of inspirational, Superstars Writing Seminar puts out an anthology to fund scholarships to the program every year, except one when the typical editor couldn't do it that year. So you took it upon yourself to put together Cursed Collectibles to fill in the gap, and we are very grateful. Thank you for doing that. So what made you crazy enough to say yes to such a project?
It wasn't just me. There was so we were at Superstars Writing Seminars. We were hanging out one night, and and there were, gosh, probably 10 other authors there. And we started telling ghost stories, and it was fun. It was entertaining. Mark Lefebvre, he had the best ones, and I pulled out that, well, I manage an antique store, and part of what I do, and I started to relay some experiences that we've had in the antique store, and somebody said, "Hey, you know what? We should put an anthology together." It might have been Mike. I don't really even know who had the idea, but anyway, out of that, like 10 of us sitting around and kind of said, "All right, well, let's do it." And then from there, I don't really know how I ended up in the seat, kind of I didn't do a lot of the work. A lot of it was done by, we had probably 40 editors. It was all from Angela Eschler, her team, and she sent out an email to everybody, and people signed up to edit, and so we had, it was probably something like 40 editors that jumped on. We had there was Lauren and Frank Morin, and I know it's Mike Stombus, that the three of them read and selected the finalists for the anthology. And then we had was it Caleb Nolan that put together the artwork for it. They're just amazing at it. And then Joy Auburn kind of does. She put it all together, and put it in book form. And so I didn't do a lot of work. Just kind of, I don't know.
You did all the communication.
I communicated and kind of got everybody doing their little parts, and it came together, and it was a lot of fun. It taught me a lot. And that's really why I think I kind of gravitated toward that. Was it's something I wanted to do, was to put together an anthology. And so since then we put together another, and I'm working on a third right now.
That's fantastic. Yeah, Curse Collectibles, for those who don't know, I have a short story in there, and that short story I made into a book later. So that is my collector. The collector, that book, it started with that story. So it's pretty incredible. That's yes, awesome. Mike Ed, I do have a story. It's the collector. It's the beginning of the collector. And I had so much fun. I was inspired by the whole antique thing. And then when I wrote it, I was like, I 100% need to make this a book. And I did. And book 2 will be out in February. So thank you for that. See, you inspired others. It's wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there is a rumor that this wonderful book that everyone should get, because it's incredible, is going on sale.
It is on sale, and I think it's on sale right now.
Yes.
It's scheduled for this weekend, but I think it's on sale right now. 99 cents for the ebook and $9.99 for the print.
That's fantastic. If anyone wants to post it in the chat, that would be awesome, so we can see that. So that would be great. It's for a great cause, and you're still raising money for charity with it, right? It's still going to the superstars.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So you can't say no to charity. And come on, it's anthology. I love anthologies, because you can just flip through and read. Sometimes it's like you said, you just don't have time, right? So you want to read this 600-page book, but you just don't have time. But you can get a whole story in just 20 pages. It's really nice. There you go. Thank you, Zafo. He's got it in there. So click that and help support. Yeah, Curse Collectibles is awesome. Let's see. Well, when we've been talking about a lot of people inspiring you and you inspiring others, when you're not doing these things, what hobbies do you enjoy to refill your creative cup? Do you have time for hobbies?
A little bit. I found that the more I do hobbies, the more effective I am in writing. So I really enjoy fishing. I've gotten into, and I never really fished when I was growing up. And in Arizona, you could be in every direction. Within an hour, you could be at a different spot fishing a different species. It's a lot of fun.
That's fascinating.
And
I see desert in my head when I see Arizona. Who knew?
yeah, no, and it's very diverse. So there's a lot of outdoor stuff, especially this time of year when the weather drops and mountains are actually it starts to get chilly.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of stuff to do, hiking and fishing, camping, a lot of outdoor stuff. Arizona's great that way. But yeah, that's what. So a lot of, as much as I can, I try to get out and go fishing.
That's awesome. Well, you've got quite a lot of short stories in print. Can you tell us about one of your favorites?
Well, somebody was talking about the pirate one
Mhm.
earlier. That's a short story, and it probably is my favorite. It's the only thing I've written in. I think they call it lit RPG. That's
Mhm.
that's it's kind of like in a game world and it's about a guy who pirates a video game and who is punished for that and is stuck inside the video game. He's got to learn some life lessons to get outside. So
He got more than
that's
he
in
bargained
the
for, didn't he?
yeah, but it's fun, it's funny. I think it's probably the best story that I've written, short story. It's it's definitely one of the best, but maybe the best. It's in the Superstars anthology about pirates. The X marks a spot. It's the one
Excellent.
that they did for their 10-year anniversary.
That's
And
awesome.
but yeah, it's a fun. And it was fun to write. I would love to get back into that genre. I've read a lot of stuff in it, but that's the only thing I've ever written in it.
That's really cool. Yeah, for those loyal listeners, we had a DJ Bodden on. That's what he writes into, is lit RPG. So
Yeah.
awesome. Let's see. If you could write in any world that wasn't your own, which world would that be?
Oh gosh.
So many to choose from. You seem very well read, I must say.
Oh, I don't even know. I don't even know what I would. And then the thought would terrify me because I don't know that I would do any of them justice. But gosh, I
You
would.
are a good writer, Jace. Let me tell you that right now. I do a lot of these. You would be fine.
But yeah, I so many that I would love to write in to be a part of for sure.
Hmm?
I there was an old television show when I was a kid, young kid, and then they did a remake 10 years ago. It was called V, and that world for whatever reason
B,
was
like Bumblebee?
fascinating. V is in
Oh, V,
Victor.
the Victor. Yeah. With
V,
Mark Singer.
yeah. I absolutely that would be. I don't know that ever took out, like it never really got justice. That world, that would be fun to write in.
Well, they tried to remake it. Did you see the remake?
They tried, yeah,
Yeah,
I
it didn't
loved
quite
it.
work. Didn't quite
It
work.
didn't quite work. I loved most of it, but yeah, it never really took off. Um, gosh, so many.
Man, I loved V. I must have watched that a dozen times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. It was my first alien invasion. So it's kind of
Yeah.
what I think of, you know?
Right.
Yeah. It inspires so many other things. Yeah, that would be a good one. We just have to see who has the rights. We'll get to them. We'll figure this out.
Yeah.
What do you hope readers get from your work?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I write, kind of like Unknown Soldier, and that was really my first baby. And the Commodore, with both of those, I wrote kind of simultaneously, and it seems that that's what I've done. Is I've written a middle grade and a thriller, and kind of at the same time. But they all have the same theme. Even the ones that I've written since,
Mhm.
the ones I'm working on now, where there's some level of, hey, it's okay, it's going to be all right, and if you keep trying, there's some redemption at the end. Like that's the Unknown Soldier. Really, it's a story about redemption, and I think I probably get it from Les Mis. That is my favorite book. Is my favorite book. I read it in high school a couple times and read it several times since. But that trope of redemption, just I love it, and so it finds its way in everything I write.
That's awesome. Just resonates with you.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Of all your characters, which one do you relate to the most?
Oh gosh, all of them at the same time.
All at the same time.
Aspects. Yeah, there's aspects to every character. Even the villains, even there's something that resonates with me, and I can see myself in every one of them. That for sure. And yeah.
Well, it's very self-reflective, right? I mean, let's face it, there has to be a little bit of us in each of our characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some people just don't see it. So you don't have a favorite? You're not going to pick one out? All right, I'll ask you an easier question. Which child is your favorite?
Oh, yeah, no, that's not. Yeah.
This isn't being recorded or anything. No one will know. It's fine. Come on, just between two friends. It's all good. Yeah. Hey, I do have a favorite child all the time. Now, I only have two to choose from, but it depends on the day. It changes on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Who took out the garbage without me asking? That child is now my favorite for now. That one's my favorite. Have you ever watched?
Go
ahead.
Yeah, right now I'm writing, so in this middle grade, and I've got a thriller also. So thinking about the characters that I'm writing right now, one of them in the middle grade it's Horus the Younger. So he's an Egyptian god. I
was gonna say Egypt. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Egyptian Horus the Younger, but how he's turned out, the guy, he's funny and he's fun. I really like him, and anyway, that right now he's probably my favorite character.
And that's in the middle grade you're working on?
Yes.
That's cool. That's good. It's always nice to have someone in there you can totally like writing, right? I mean, the writing part, there's got to be some fun in there somewhere. That's awesome. Until that character becomes so much fun, they become the main character. That happens sometimes too.
Yeah. Or you have to kill them off and
right. Or you have to kill him. You're like, no, I liked him. It's not fair. The world is cruel. Oh, wait, it's my world. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes they ask for it. You just never know. So have you watched any TV lately that you've really gotten into?
Oh, lots of TV. Gosh. Yeah. Let's see where to start. So my favorite TV, and I'm hoping they're coming out with season 3, is The Umbrella Academy. I thought it was the first 2 seasons were very, very fun, very funny. Finished a couple series. There's on HBO. There's a Harley Quinn series. It's a cartoon it's funny. I think it's witty writing. One Punch Man is another. It's a series. They've got 2 seasons out. It's how do you say, anime? It's funny. It's just anyway. I watch a lot of cartoons, but and watching, that's on probably more on the middle grade side. On the thriller side, I loved Your Honor was last year. It was a thriller type. It looks like they're coming out with season 2. Watched Steve Ruskin got me into The Expanse, and it took me forever to watch it, and at his prodding in that, but I think I binged the last 3 or 4 seasons straight. And loved it. Absolutely loved it. That got me on a sci-fi kick, started a new book on sci-fi, and I had to get away from it so that I could, that's when I was reading Martin Shoemaker's Last Dance also. And anyway.
You're like, if I keep this up, I'm never going to finish anything.
Yeah, well, I bounce around. I think I've got 6 or 7 books that are started, and it's like some point I gotta focus and get it done. And so the middle grade's what I've committed to get it done by the end of the year. So that's where. So I've been watching a lot of cartoons lately. So that's why. That's how I keep my head there. Really funny one series. I think it's called 10-Year-Old Tom or something like that. It's a cartoon. Mm-hmm. Anyway, really, really funny.
It's awesome. I have to look them up. I don't watch too many cartoons right now. See, and I know anime is a huge thing, and I just haven't gotten into it. No reason, just haven't. There's so much to consume, you know. There's so much to consume.
As far, I haven't watched, Pokemon or what was Avatar.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. That one I did watch because my kids were young when it came out, and that's amazing. Yeah, I love that story.
So my kids got me into. It's called One Punch Man. And the premise is there's a guy he's so strong he just punches the villain one time, and he defeats him. and I was told about this. My kids were like, "You got to watch this," so I was told about it, and I thought, well, how could you write? I don't, how could the story? Try to imagine what the story would be like. Mm-hmm. I couldn't guess it at all. And then when now watching it, I totally get this, and it's hilarious.
This is brilliant. Yeah,
it really is. And they come out. I think they call it manga. That's the the comic books is it Chinese? But they're out. They've got a lot of that.
It's Japanese, but I'm not an expert.
It's Japanese. It is Japanese. Yeah. So they have a ton of that out there, and I think they're trying. I assume that they're still making more seasons of this One Punch Man, but they've only got 2, and so my kids have read ahead in Japanese, trying to figure out what's happened. But anyway, it's funny. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny. Before you said that, I was the Blanket Fort Stories, which I assume is Chris. Hi, Chris. He said that the main character gets so bored because the fights are so fast. It's hilarious. So he agrees. That's a great show. The One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Steve Ruskin is on you with The Expanse. So see, he recommended it, and it worked. It's one of Zafo's favorite shows too. He loves it. I just haven't gotten into it. Like I said, there's so much to consume.
Yeah.
So we just watched Picard, so that's how far behind we are. So it is what it is. But that's great. All the things I want. So you talked about the cartoons you watch that help inspire you. Florida Kevin wants to know: do you think you could have written middle grade books if you had not had kids?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not totally sure. I had the benefit of. So I've got 5 kids, 4 boys, and I think I write more. And being a man, I write more toward the male youth,
male audiences,
and then that audience, and and I've tried to read a lot of those that are targeted toward to the female audience, to understand it and that, but it just I don't know that I write that well for that, but so I've kind of embraced in this one that I'm writing right now. I've kind of embraced that. I've got a male and a female protagonist, but I'm definitely writing it toward the male audience. And the I think of what helped me a lot too is when I was younger, I was in the Boy Scouts a lot. I worked with the Boy Scouts, and so I was in the 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old groups quite a bit. And it's a fun, the boys at that age, as they're discovering how to do things outdoor. Everything's new. Everything's an adventure. It's really it's really fun that way. And so I think I picked up a lot of what I guess inspires, or what that age group connects to. And I don't know that it's changed really over the last 15, 20 years. And now I've got like I said, I like to go fishing all the time. Now I've got two nephews and a niece, ages 10 on down to 6, that I take with me, that we go and just all over the place. But
somebody's got to carry the stuff.
Yeah. And I don't know that age group's just, it's fun because they get to explore and see things that are new, and to watch them, as they learn, and it's very inspiring.
They still think adults are awesome.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. My kids don't really care for me anymore, but no.
They're too old. I still love you, Dad, but I gotta go.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm like, when are we gonna hang out? I'm like, Dad, what do you?
I have friends. I don't.
Yeah.
You're like, fine. I have nieces and nephews. Go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they wonder why we want grandkids someday. We want people who love us again. Let's see. That's fun. Yeah, the middle grade. I don't know. I would think if you at least read a lot of middle grade, you could do it. And you do read a lot of middle grade, so one way or another. I'll have to say, though, it's very interesting that you said you write middle grade mostly from the male perspective, because my experience has been there's not enough middle grade for a female audience, and there's not enough YA for the male audience. It's like somehow or another there's some kind of crossover. It's odd.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that is. I started writing a male YA, like it was mainly from the male perspective, but I don't know if I could pull it off either, so I kind of gave that up. It's like you think you can, and you try, and you're like, I don't know if I can quite pull this out. I don't know. Let's face it, I don't know what it was like to be a teenage boy. I could tell you that right now. I'm not sure I knew what it was like to be a teenage girl. My mom always said I was 12 going on 40. She's in the chat. She'll verify. Yes. Well, we have our very, very important question. We're doing a survey, so your name will now be added to the survey, and that is, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Most of the time, it's Rocky Road.
Ooh, good one.
Sometimes it's butter pecan, and sometimes it's pistachio.
Ooh. So you like the crunchy things in your ice cream?
I like nuts in the ice cream. Yeah.
I like it. Good choice.
Most of the time, I like chocolate. So, yeah.
Can't go wrong with chocolate unless you're wearing a white shirt. Then it's wrong. Yeah. It will always end up on there somehow magically. What part of your daily routine is an absolute must?
Oh gosh. Well, all right. Right now, I'm learning French on Duolingo.
Ooh, I love Duolingo. Yes,
yeah, it's fantastic. I'm fluent in Spanish, and I was talking with my son, who's 16, who said, "Hey, I'm learning French now," and I said, "Well, that's awesome because I always wanted to read Les Mis in French, and
that was going to be my next question."
And there's an artist I came across a while ago named Zaz, that's a French singer, phenomenal music. And so I thought, well, if you're learning French, I'll learn French. And so we started together. He's kind of fallen off, but I think I completed 98 days today in a row of learning French.
Nice.
Just a little bit every day. And yeah, no, does that
mean you could say awesome. Les Mis, the whole word?
Les Miserables, how they cut out. What I've learned is that they cut off like the last 3 to 5 letters of every word, and regardless of how it's conjugated, they all sound the same. Like it's the same anyway. It's a very interesting language. Apart from I having learned Spanish is so easy to learn. Realizing now, but there's
Did you learn Spanish when you were younger?
Fun. I did when I took a little bit in college, and then went to South America and really learned it. but it didn't take long. It was probably 4 months, and I was fluent.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I'm going to say
I
that
have the
was young.
feeling
That
that
was your
was
young
young.
mind.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I learned German when I
Well,
was young. So I thought German was really,
yeah,
really easy. And then I tried to do Spanish older, and I could not wrap my brain around it.
that's a little.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Just couldn't do it.
but Duolingo's awesome.
I
That's
agree. I agree. I'm going to learn Spanish if it kills me. I'm going to do it. I live in Texas, for heaven's sakes. It's ridiculous that I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
So I'm working
Yeah.
on it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's funny. Well, I always find that when like I'm learning a new language, like as I was learning German, I learned a lot about German culture. As I'm learning Spanish, I'm learning more about Spanish culture. Are you doing the same thing with French? Just learning the
Yes.
language kind of give you some insight?
Yeah, for sure. And that, yeah, like I'm trying to immerse myself as I do it. I'll start watching. I'll watch television shows. There was one show that I got into is English dubbed. What was it called? But it was there's an investigator or a thief. It was a master thief, and I think it's a pretty well like a character that's pretty well known in the French, Le Pont or something like that. Anyway, I so watched the first series in English, went back and watched it in French once I started learning French, and then uh, and can't understand anything, but it helps, right? And then trying to listen to French music and then read. Really, I've started to read books in French, and that's
Hmm.
hopefully it'll come.
It'll come. That's probably the level I'm at with
Stuff is,
Spanish.
yeah.
Time to read some books. Blankenford asks,
Yeah.
is it Lupin?
Yes. Yeah. Lupin. I think I'm not sure exactly how you Lupin. Not really sure, but yeah. It was really a cool series, I thought.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I did Lupin. I just remember that Houdini wanted Houdini, but the IN was actually an AN sound. And so actually he should have been Houdini because he did it wrong because he didn't know French. So I think it's Lupin.
Yeah, IN is Lupin. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I think it is an AN. Yeah.
The things you learn, useless trivia. I'm full of it. It's all pointless. All pointless.
The hard part of Spanish is that there's so many different, like Argentina Spanish is different than Mexican Spanish, is different than Puerto Rican Spanish, and they all have, there's little not just accent but words, and some words mean something in one country that means something totally different in another, and I guess you kind of learn all that eventually, but and then my Spanish is totally on the pot here because all my friends, like we say weed eater is weedy in Spanish. But I don't even remember what it is in real Spanish, but that's what it anyway.
That's the slang for where you are. Yeah.
It's just they say la troca, which like you'd say camioneta down in Argentina, but here they say la troca, and you say that down in Argentina, they don't know what you're talking about.
They're like, what?
But so I'll get around my in-laws and I'll talk my Spanglish now, and they look at me really weird. My accent's gone away, and
one of our closest friends. One of our closest friends is from Panama, and her husband lived in Spain for a year, so he speaks fluent Spanish as well. But it's
totally different.
Yes, with the lisp and everything, right? So when they speak Spanish together, her parents were making fun of her because she was picking up the lisp from her husband.
Oh, jeez.
I thought that was so funny, and she's the native speaker. It's just, I love it. It's fascinating. Language is fascinating.
It is.
It really is. So let's see. I mean, I have questions, but this is way more fun. Like, what is your least favorite chore around the house?
Oh, yeah. I don't like taking out the trash. Like, I'd rather do the dishes than take out the trash.
Oh, I'll trade you. You get that, Zafo? Come on. I want that deal. I would totally do that deal. If you could only listen to one band or artist for the rest of your life, who would it be?
Oh gosh, that's hard.
It's a new one. You're the first.
Really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the first.
You are.
Yeah,
I have to come up with new tortures. Otherwise, what's my job?
There's a number of them. Like I could listen to Zaz for the rest of my life. Totally. If that was all I heard, I could totally do that. But man, what you give up so much other. There's another band I'm way into now. It's called The Dead South. That's awesome.
Yes, I was just listening to them actually.
They're phenomenal. I saw them in concert probably a year and a half ago. They came to Arizona and phenomenal. But I could listen to that sound for the rest of my life, sure.
I really
but
like
gosh, I don't. That's a hard question though.
It's tough. I like it. We shall see how people line up. Here, easier one: polos or button-ups?
Oh, I don't like polos so much. I'll usually do a button-up or a t-shirt. Usually t-shirt, but I'm wearing a button-up today.
Yeah, you look very professional. Very professional.
Yeah.
I do that too. See, I mean, you can only see from here up. It's not so hard to be professional from here up. I mean, I can handle that. And finally, where can fans find you and your work?
Oh, I've got a website. It's not always up to date, but jacekillan.com. And then I'm usually on Facebook. If you friend me on Jace Killan and I'll friend you back. And usually I've got an Amazon page. And
Do you have a separate one for Jace Killan and JB Killan?
No, it's all combined.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Now that Jace is your favorite writer, please make sure to review his work. And also, please review us wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also follow us on Twitch or subscribe to us on YouTube. And we want to thank our subscribers. You know, if they would all use the same terms, this would be easier. I apologize to get this wrong every week. I want to thank our subscriber, DH Dunn, for keeping the lights on around here. And finally, our next week, we have book launch with Keisto Healy's debut novel. So come back next week to see that. It'll be fun. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Take care.